Yeah, that's coffee. The water is...
Pancake move. Oh.
Yeah. It's all totally dribbled right.
Is that edible?
Ultimately.
Fixing up quite a concoction there.
Yeah.
Look at that, would you?
That's what the like getting the cream in.
Oh, I'll put them in.
I thought you've been to college. You don't put whipped cream in it. You put whipped cream.
Shirts last night.
I love meeting all the people. There's people from all over the United States.
I'm from Elk River, Minnesota.
Lake Arrowhead, California.
St. Petersburg,
Florida.
Provo, Utah.
I'm Minneapolis.
Boston, Massachusetts.
Berkeley, California.
Los Angeles.
St. Louis, Missouri.
I'm from Anaheim, California.
They all have different ideas and different thoughts, and you get so close to them when you're living right with them. Everybody's all close together, doing everything together.
The rapids change from time to time. The river level causes the rapids to change. So every time the trip is different, and that makes it exciting. You've got your oars against the river, and the river's got a lot of power in it. So you've got to outsmart it. You've got to be prepared, and you've got to do your planning in advance. Set up for your rapid in advance, because once you're in it, there's not much you can do. So you get that little bit of excitement right in the pit of your stomach. Working against the wave, and every time you go over a wave, it tends to throw you to the right or the left, and you have to compensate. And those oars weigh 20 or 30 pounds apiece, and they're kicking around, and the whole object is to keep it straight right down the middle of the rapid. Hard left, hard left.
One rapid will get me one trip, and I'll run it good the next trip. And then one rapid that I've run good all the time will just eat me good one time, and it just keeps you on your toes.
Boats are designed so that they do bend and they give, because the water pressure in one of those waves is enough that you could hit it, and it just stops the boat for just a second. So you've got to have a little give in your boat.
I think it's about as good a stream fishing as you find anywhere in the country. Fishing is a relaxation for me, especially in an area like this. I think sometimes some of us who are fishermen just use that as an excuse, as a way to relax. If we put a line in the water, nobody bothers us. They think we're real busy fishing. If we catch a fish, that's fine, but if we don't, it's just a good excuse to get away from everything and to just really have a good time. Pretty fantastic fishing.
I think of myself as basically a fairly scientific person in many ways, but I like to read about nature. I enjoy hiking and climbing, or just plain walking along the river shore. Sometimes I like to find a nice spot to sit and listen and watch, observe what's happening around me. Sometimes I like to sit and read a book for a while, but there's a lot of things you just can't learn from books. You just have to be there and have to experience it yourself.
Well, I tell you, It was just really neat. You don't even know it's there. You're on the river and you stop and there's just a pile of rock, and then you get up and you have to walk up these big slippery rocks, and you get up there and all of a sudden you see a bathtub sitting there in the middle of the rock. Oh, but that water felt so good just to get in there.
Doggy, that's neat. That's hot, man. That's hot. This water's delightful, Alan. You need to get in here. This is just fantastic. You don't get a better place than this than in the spa.
It feels really good and you just feel refreshed.
The Idaho Spa.
Getting in there and taking a bath, you feel like a new man, a new woman. Warm water was rolling down into the bathtub. And also, especially for a girl, when you have long hair and you can wash your hair over there in the warm water, it is just great. Hey!
Sylvan Hart, Buckskin Bill. And Bo Buckskin and his family, was their tradition to prove themselves in the wilderness for 1 year when they turned the age of 21. Prove their manhood, I guess it was. And so he decided to pick the roughest, meanest spot he could find. And he pretty well did there, 5 Mile Creek.
My people have always done something like that. Left England about 1630. And the young guy is supposed to go out in the woods to learn sense.
He come in and stayed for that first year, just about died, he said, that first winter. But he kind of got to liking it. So he returned and has been living here ever since.
46 years.
46 years.
Mm-hmm. But I'd have had to live somewhere. I was better off here. I do a number of different things. I work in the garden a little, and I'm in the process of making another flintlock rifle, and been repairing some boats and their canoes. Garden out here, you see, and here's an outdoor oven. And here's a canoe that's over 40 years old, and I've renewed the ribs 3 times, see. And this time I'm going to do a little better job. I'm going to have glass on the bottom.
He's quite the old feller. When he built that fort there, he used to say that was to keep the Russians away when they came to bomb us. Then it was the Red Chinese. Now it's not the Red Chinese so much anymore, but it's the Forest Service.
I built a fort to fight government. Yeah, bad government.
Whether he admits it or not, I think he gets kind of lonely in there.
Don't know what you're talking about. But since I have heard there is such a thing, you know.
He does a lot of reading, and he's more up on current events than most any of us here probably. Really sharp guy.
I always felt that it's good for a child to have an experience in nature. So this year I investigated and I found that this would be a great trip for a child. She's having a terrific time and she wants to go again. In fact, she doesn't want it to end. Last night we had a terrific birthday party. Decorated cake. It said, "Happy birthday, Ellen."
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Come back, Marlene.
Happy birthday, dear Ellen. Happy birthday to you.
Tour guides make the cake in a pan. I think it was some kind of a pecan cake. It was delicious.
The best part about hiking up these mountains is that so close to the river, about 3 miles away, we can just take off and walk up on these little paths, be all by ourselves or be with a group of people, get to the top of the mountain and look out across the valley and just see so many things that you can't see if you're down in the river or if you're in an airplane. You can't see any other way than taking the time to hike up these mountains.
The wife of one of the boatmen had this book on wildflowers, Rocky Mountain wildflowers, and I borrowed it. And it was really kind of fun just looking up all the different flowers in the book.
Tubular-shaped flowers occurring in an umbel at the top of a slender leafless stem.
I think this must be a time of the year when there's really a lot. In fact, I'm sure I've seen 100 or 200 different varieties. So I was able to identify quite a few. I think it's sort of interesting to see if they're rare or exclusive in this area, or if they're used for food, or if they're poisonous, if there's some sort of unique thing about them. It's sort of awakened an interest in something beyond just looking at them.
Let's eat!
You got any yummy sounds? Water just kind of...
I have 4 more in that head. You really say to no one.
Grab a plate, Joel. Time to eat.
They want it. We got medium, slightly, a little bit. Low dark. Low.
Oh. There you are. How's that look?
Good.
I'm really gonna miss you guys.
You are?
One of the things that I enjoyed most was the visit to the ghost town. copper mining area. We went back into the mine, about 100 yards.
Those miners back in the early 1900s really knew how to work. They never made much money, but they sure knew how to work.
When you ride along in relaxed atmosphere on beautiful water, and ever so often you hit a rapids and it's exciting and you bounce through the water and get a spray of water over you, it's just really fun.
And to me, it's kind of a sacred experience. You're out here in the wilderness and you're really working hand in hand with nature, because the river's a vital force in the scheme of things.
The scenery and the atmosphere, the blue skies, the clear air, it's just a fantastic place to come.